Hey there, Christopher Schlegel here. In this video, I want to talk about how to build a solo over just a one-chord vamp or a riff. We're thinking about making melodic phrases out of just scale patterns, and we're not worried about targeting chord tones because there aren't any chord tones. So for example, you might have a groove or a riff that's just a over E. So it's just E. You're not thinking in any specific chord progression, okay? So what I would do is I would say you're still trying to build melodic phrases, and so you still got the mechanics of trying to do a call and response or a question and an answer. So you need to think in terms of what scale notes you're going to use and think about rhythmic phrasing, okay? Because rhythmic phrasing is where things really become cohesive. You know, you can make a melodic statement or catch somebody's ear with something so they've got some idea to hold on to that gets built up as tension and then resolved as an answer. Call, response, question, answer. With that in mind, I'm going to use E minor. I'm going to use pentatonic. I might throw in some passing tones, a little flat 5 thing, bluesy note, or some Dorian notes or something just for fun. But let's just take the idea of we're playing over E. So I'm just got an E riff. You know, might be it. Right. Think of that as what you're playing over. So you've got a steady groove, 1, 2, 3, 4, mid tempo, right? The first thing I want to do is think in terms of melodic phrasing. Okay, so I'm just going to make up a lick here. I'm going to turn on my gain and I'm going to go. Just make up a lick out of pentatonic minor there, okay? What I've got there was I started with a bend, right? I bent the D up to E, so I get a root note, and I held on to it for 2 beats. So I go 1, 2, and then I'm going to come down the scale in 16th notes. Right? So I've got 1, 2, and then 3D and D, 4D and D, and then I'm going to play like a little syncopated phrase starting on the next bar. Right? So there you go. You've got a little phrase. We've got a bend, okay, it makes a specific statement, and then comes down to 16th notes, and then the next measure starts with a little syncopated phrase. Okay, so at this point, we can go one of 2 ways. We can either play something that's immediately contrasting to that, an immediate answer, or we can keep building the tension up, okay? Let's start with that first option. Let's immediately build something that is a contrast, that's an answer to that. So we'll start with a bend on a different note. Let's start on a lower note to bend. Let's bend this A up to B here, this 4 to 5. But let's keep the idea of that rhythmic phrasing because that will provide cohesion. So the first time I bent a note and I went 2 beats, right? So I'll bend this note and go 2 beats. 1, 2, and then instead of going down the scale, I'll go up the scale in 16th notes. Right, that's 3D and D, 4D and D, and then I can answer that lower phrase with a higher phrase, but the same syncopated rhythm. Now, notice what I did here. The first phrase has a topology like this. It starts with a high bend, it comes down the scale, and then it has a little syncopated phrase that starts with and ends on G, right? So I've got, and then, right there, I'm on that G, right? So I want to go and answer that. So I'm going to take the same basic phrasing, but the topology changes. I'm going to start with a low bend, and I'm going to climb back up the scale, and I'm going to end with a high note, an E, because that's the scale I'm in, right? So here's my answer. So if you put them back to back, you can hear how it's an immediate question and an answer, or a call and response. It's, and then the answer is. So the idea there is immediately you provide some kind of information, some statement, and then you provide an answer to it. Okay. Now let's take a little bit longer view. Let's say that I want to start with that first phrase, but I want to continue that phrase for yet another 2 bars. So I've got the, and I want to take 2 more beats or 2 more measures to complete that idea, to keep doing it. So I'm going to take the same idea of the bend, but I'm going to keep going down the scale. I'm going to start here. Whoops. Right? And then I'm going to put a little syncopated phrase down here. Right? So I've got... And then... Something like that, okay? At that point, I've got 4 full measures that I filled up, okay? So I've got 1... And then let's do it. Okay, now I've got 4 full measures that I have built all the way up. Now I want to try to do something contrasting with that, okay? At this point, I've played a lot of notes, so I might just want to hang out somewhere down low for a little while. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then another measure. And then another measure. And then maybe finish it off with. Okay, so I've completed the idea of going down by going. And then keep going down. Now, I've played lots of notes and I've come all the way down the scale. Now I want to wind my way back up over the course of the next 4 bars. But in a more laid back manner. I'm not going to... I've got a little bit more breathing room in this one. And then again. And then I want to end it off again with a neat little... So I end on the E again, okay? Put all that together and you can hear how it forms its own little topology of going down the scale and then slowly winds its way back up. So I got... Now, after all that... So there's a little bit of an idea of how you can expand 4-measure phrase into something and then answer it with a different 4-measure phrase completely, okay? The idea behind using longer and longer licks and dramatically building things up or bringing them back down is also a really good thing to keep in mind, because at any given point after you've played 4 or 8 measures of a lot of stuff like that, it's always a great idea to just lay back and find a good note to hang on. And after all that stuff, like maybe I'm just finishing that lick up, right? Now I'm going to go up, find an E to hang on, and then maybe wind my way down the scale. So, you know, adding a little bit of giving the listener a little bit of a breather, a little rest, letting yourself back off of it just a little bit is always a good idea too. Okay, because you want to think in terms of the whole solo that you've got. You want a story arc over the whole thing, right? If you're constantly just putting like you don't give it any breathing room, or you don't provide it some variety, then it's just going to be an overwhelming barrage of stuff. Even when you do play a lot of, even when you play a lot of stuff, even when guitar players do play a lot of licks, you can still hear quite often that in a good solo, it's something that sounds really artistic, sounds musical. There's an overall story arc to it, right? There's some drama built in there. There might be a little bit of dynamics low and high. There might be some fast stuff, followed by some slow stuff, followed by some bends, followed by some fast stuff at the end. So anyway, the idea there is to still provide the listener with something melodic to hold on to, something that might catch their ear or their interest, so that when you decorate that time where there's no chord changes, you've got something interesting and musical happening. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in future little mini lessons.